Government's mandatory hotel quarantine rules are facing a lot of criticism, especially from civil liberty groups, for potentially violating citizens' rights. For more on this, we're joined by Cara Zwiebel, lawyer and director of the Fundamental Freedoms Program with the Canadian Civil Liberties Association. Cara, thank you so much. Lots to get to. A small sample size so far because the rules just came into effect. But reaction from you given that, and I understand it's already being challenged in court in Alberta.
Yeah, so I think this is a bit of a function of people not really understanding where these rules are coming from, why the government has done this, and whether it's justified. Is there good evidence that people are not effectively isolating at home? I think many people who are returning from travel are, willing to go home and quarantine, but a bit upset about the possibility of having to spend more money and inconvenience by being in a hotel.
Now, certainly people are upset, but according to the lawsuit, it's predicated on breaching the Charter of Rights. I'm going to read a couple of these. Section 6, right to enter and leave Canada. That is every Canadian's right. Section 9, the right not to be arbitrarily detained or arrested. Elaborate on that, because I know that is those are just a couple of the issues, but elaborate if you could.
Sure. So these are rights that Canadians have under the Charter. The thing is that the Charter also says that all of our rights are subject to limit. So the government can limit our rights. And the question is whether those limits are reasonable and justified. And that's really where the rubber hits the road here. The question is, can the government justify these restrictions and demonstrate that this is a necessary and proportional step to take?
OK, so but given that, are they justified? A lot of people say, people prefer to be safe, and they say that this is the step that you need to take in order to be safe. Your response?
I think that we haven't heard a good justification from the government yet, and that's really who has the burden of justifying these restrictions. The idea that people can't safely and effectively isolate at home isn't something that we've really seen backed up by any evidence from the government. And the government itself has said when these restrictions were introduced that the amount of, the number of cases coming from travel is relatively small. So I think people it's reasonable to question and push back. I'm not advocating that people violate the law, but these rules are being challenged in court. I expect that some people who are being ticketed will also go to court and fight those tickets.
Now, while I have you here, I want to ask you about the idea of a vaccine passport. We've seen these now in Israel. Manitoba says this is, quote, a real possibility. What implication could this have? I mean, Canada has said that they're not going in that direction, but could it be up to the provinces when it comes to the final rule?
Ultimately, provinces have obviously a lot of say here when it comes to healthcare issues. I think the idea of a vaccine passport is very problematic. I think it can lead to real inequalities. We don't always think about the fact that not everyone will be able to access a vaccine, even if they want to. Not everyone will be able to have a vaccine if they have a medical condition where it's contraindicated. And sort of attaching these rights to people based on whether they've been vaccinated or not could lead to really further inequalities. So I think it's very problematic. And at this point, obviously also very premature since the vaccine is not yet widely available.
Okay. Well, it's an important debate to be had, and I know we will continue this conversation. We appreciate your side of the story. Cara Zwiebel with the Canadian Civil Liberties Association. Thank you again.
Thank you.